he does, he's filling up the half of the universe with his own perspiration, and then as it is with Krishna, he's always followed by Balaram. Balaram is always manifesting all the paraphernalia for Krishna's comfort, like his bedstead and the paraphernalia for worshipping Krishna, like the conch and the chamara whisk and betel nuts that Krishna is chewing, and all these things for Krishna's enjoyment as manifested by Balaram. So Balaram is also following Krishna in his incarnation as Mahavishnu, or now Mahavishnu has expounded himself into Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, into each of the universes which are being breathed out by Mahavishnu. So inside there as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and also Balaram is following now in the incarnation as Shesha, which is the snake incarnation. He's thus making a bedstead on the water of the ocean, which the Lord now has filled half of the universe with water from his own perspiration. And he's lying then on that water. Shesha is lying there and making a bedstead for Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu is lying there. And out of the navel of Lord Vishnu is growing the lotus flower, the most beautiful lotus flower. And on that lotus flower, then Lord Brahma is taking birth. And inside the lotus flower, then there is the 14 planetary systems. and Lord Brahma is then meditating and getting the knowledge from Krishna how to create. He's getting the darshan of the Lord first. And thus Lord Brahma is composing the Brahma Samhita out of his darshan. So then we have the material world. And then into each of the living entities, bodies which are then manifested by Lord Brahma of the 8,400,000 different kinds of forms. In each and every form, then the Lord is then entering as the last expansion, the last Purusha incarnation, as Paramatma. And he's simultaneously also entering each and every atom. So this is the universal situation. But we, as we can understand here, we are not aiming for the material world at all, not also Maheshtama, for the worshippers of Shiva. We are very aiming either for Vaikuntha Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. Actually, Prabhupada said that, Bhagavad Gita says that actually we are devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement. We don't bother even meditating on the super soul in the heart. We just see the form of Krishna even in the heart, as Shyama Sundar, the two-armed form of Krishna playing the flute. So we are, in other words, we're going for Goloka Vrindavan. That's our aim. And of course, it's totally impossible for us because we're so fallen and wretched. But still, we're just doing it because Prabhupada had said so. And then we, hopefully by the mercy of Prabhupada, some way or another we will be able to go there. Maybe it will take so many lifetimes and how many impurities we have to get rid of, we don't even maybe know, but at least the path is there, and by the mercy of God in time we have started. So we should just fix our mind on this goal and just go ahead. And we must have firm determination, because otherwise Maya is always teasing and tricking the mind to think about other things, which is asat. It's all asat. It has no value at all. This whole world is an illusion, as we know, starting with our own body. What we see with our eyes is an illusion. Shakshurvyam Shravanadivi Nashram Griyamanam Charam Vidimayam Manumayam. Krishna says to Uddhava that you should know, Uddhava, that all these things in the material world, and he's then listing also what we hear from through the eyes, what we see through the eyes, also what is we can see in the mind, and smell, and all these things we get in through the senses. Nashvaram Griyamanam, they're all temporary, they're all subject to destruction. Vidimayam Manumayam, you must not understand this, that actually all of this is just going on in the mind. It's made by the material energy. Mayam, it's made by Maya, by my Maya, Krishna says. by my material energy. And another place it says also, iksheta vibramam idam manaso vilasam. You must understand that idam, this material world, is manaso vilasam, it is a creation of the mind. Drishtam vinashtam, it is visible today, drishtam, but then vinashtam, it's gone tomorrow. Here today, gone tomorrow. Drishtam vinashtam apilola manata chakram. It's just as illusory as if you take a whirling stick and whirling it around, making some forms. We burn a stick. It will create some temporary forms in the sky. But we know they are not real. And the same thing with our body also. It's just temporary forms created by the temporary combination of atoms and molecules and their friction. Make a show for our eyes, but as we see all the Lalita who have shown with intelligent design that actually if you go down with a very advanced microscope, you can see that there is actually no substance even in the matter. There is so much empty space there. And the more you go down and look, it all becomes more and more abstract. And you know, the forms we thought were real, they're not real. You go down just in the finger, you can see there's not really a finger, it's just composed of all these different kinds of elements, molecules and protons and all this stuff. And it just becomes very abstract. Where did the finger go? It's not there anymore, it's just so many strange things inside. So it is an illusion. Even materialists can understand. So what about us? We should definitely understand it. And Krishna says so many places also. Drishtam vinashtam atilolam alatar chakram vijnanam ekam uruda iva vibhati maya. With knowledge, vijnana, with realization, we should understand this is just made by Maya, all of this. Svapnastrida, and what we experience here is just dreaming in three different kinds of stages. Krishna just calls all of it svapna. It's all a dream. And he's referring to trida, to the three different kinds of conscious states of the living being. And it's called the awakened state, and the state where we are dreaming when sleeping, and then shushupti, which is the deep sleep without dreaming even. He says these three are also dreaming. He calls all of them svapna, or also the awakened state. So he says actually later on, he says to Uddhava, he's explaining this highest kind of knowledge. He says we should be situated on the Turiya state. The fourth stage of existence is beyond even the deep sleep, the sleep with dream, and the awakened state. Material spoken. Turiya is the place we should be. The transcendental stage, beyond the perception of the senses and even beyond the perception of the mind. And Krishna says, there I am there, Turiya, and also the living entity in his original spiritual state is there. And that's the thing. Svarpena vyavasviti, when we have really given up all this hitva anyata rupam, when we're giving up all these subtle and gross bodies, and we're situated in our original spiritual body, that is actually the Turiya stage. That is actually a transcendental stage, and that includes that we cannot be attached to our awakened state of life, even this dreaming state, or the deep sleep when we don't even are dreaming anything. So you know, this is coming if we absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness, and we have to do that because there is no other way. Otherwise, if we're not absorbed in Krishna's Leela, we'll be absorbed in the Leela here in the dream. Oh, this person said that, or that person said this, even amongst devotees. It's just useless. It's just temporary. It's just a part of the dream. And then the next day something new happens, the next day something new, and then you have years and years passing like this. Mind is always attached to these temporary things. And you know, what's the use? It's no use. And we will not get success. We will not get back to Krishna with this. Again, we will be born here. Yeah, probably in a devotee connection, but still it will be just like the demigods. They're also devotees, but they're in the material world, suffering and enjoying. And they recognize that Krishna is there, but still, because not being totally absorbed in Krishna's Leela and not preparing fully, then there is no birth in Krishna's Leela in the next life. So that means we have to cut. We have to cut. That's the only way we can do it. Krishna is saying also in Bhagavad Gita, we have to take the sword of knowledge and cut off this tree. And he's referring to the attachment to the material world. It is like a tree. It's deeply rooted. So he is advising the shortcut method. You just cut it over and surrender to Krishna. That is actually that. To give up the mind, because it's all in our head. And that takes, we have to have serious chanting, really surrendered chanting to Krishna. And also really read the books, really surrender. And then preach in the surrender way also. Just have to absorb yourself more and more and more. Tivrena Bhakti Yoga, it's the only way is Tivrena. It has to become more and more intense. That intensity has to be, it has to all the time get higher and higher. There's no laxing back in devotional service. We cannot rest on any laurels, because the laurels are also made of the illusory material nature. We think we have some laurels to rest on. But they're also illusions. So we try and rest and we just fall down. Because there is no laurels, they're illusion. So we cannot rest. We have to get out of illusion. And then, when we get back to the spiritual world, then we can rest there. That's okay. But not before. We can't rest in the illusion. So, is there anything more to say? You probably have something to say, or comments, questions. No? So let us just continue with this wonderful process of Krishna consciousness by reading about Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so on, and then the mind will definitely be transformed into the spiritual, into becoming a devotee of Krishna, because that's actually our real original constitutional position. This thing here that we identify with the gross body and try and live this life here, it's really very obvious that it is fruitless, it's temporary, it's not worth it. And the more we read these books, the more we chant Hare Krishna, more we associate with the deity, it just becomes more and more clear. So in that way we just follow this process, more and more naturally actually we'll be detached. But we can also try and speed up the process ourselves also by becoming more serious. And there is no danger in becoming more serious. There's never any time problem that now you're too serious. Anybody who comes and says this is an agent of Maya. You can take it for certain. And the person saying this, don't be too serious. Okay, who is saying this? Show me that person. Who is saying that? Is that the person who is representing Srila Prabhupada? Is that the serious devotee who is saying this? No. I never saw one person who is serious saying one is too serious in Krishna consciousness. We are not serious enough in Krishna consciousness. That's our problem. We have never had any problem that we're not serious. That we're too serious in Krishna consciousness. We didn't have that problem yet. And we will never have it. so that should not be our worry, at least. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.